Chapter 5. I had shut the door too. Then I turned around, and there he was. I used to be scared of him all the time. He tanned me so much. I reckoned I was scared of him now, too. But in a minute, I see I was mistaken. That is, after the first jolt, as you might say, when my breath sort of hitched, he being so unexpected. But right away after I see I wasn't scared of him, not worth bothering about. He was most 50, and he looked it. His hair was long and tangled and greasy, and hung down, and you could see his eyes shining through them like he was all behind black vines. And his hair was all black, no gray, so was his long mixed-up whiskers. There warn't no color in his face. Where his face showed, it was white. Not like another man's white, but white to make a body sick, white to make a body's flesh crawl, a tree-toad white, a fish belly white. As for his clothes, just rags. And that was all. He had one ankle resting on the other knee, and the boot on that foot was busted, and two of his toes stuck through, and he worked them now and then. His hat was laying on the floor, an old black slouch with the top caved in, like a lid. I stood a-looking at him. He sat there looking at me, with his chair tilted back a little. I set the candle down. I noticed the window was up, so he'd clumb in by the shed. He kept a-looking me over. By and by he says, "Starchy clothes. Very. You think you're a good deal better than Big Bug, don't you?" "Maybe I am, maybe I ain't," I says. "Don't give me none of your lip," says he. "You put on considerable many frills since I've been away. I'll take you down a peg before I'm all done with you. You're educated, too. They say you can read and write. They say you can read and write. You think you're better than your father now, don't you? 'Cause he can't. I'll take it out of you. Who told you you might be meddling with such highfalutin foolishness? Hey? Who told you you could?" "The widow. She told me." "The widow, hey? And who told the widow she could put her shovel about a thing that ain't none of her business?" "Nobody never told her." "Well, I'll learn her to meddle. And looky here. You drop that school, you hear? I'll learn people to bring up a boy to put on airs over his own father, let on he's better than what he is. Let me catch you fooling around with that school again, you hear? Your mother couldn't read. She couldn't write neither before she died. None of the family couldn't before they died. I can't. And here you're a-swelling yourself up like this. I ain't the man to stand it, you hear? Say, let me hear you read." I took up a book and began something about General Washington and the wars. And when I'd read about half a minute, he fetched the book with a whack with his hand and knocked it across the house. He says, "It's so. You can do it. I had my doubts when you told me. Now looky here, you stop putting on frills. I won't have it. I'll lay for you, my smarty. And if I catch you about that school, I'll tan you good. First thing you know, you'll get religion, too. I ain't never seen such a son." He took up a little blue and yaller picture of some cows and a boy, and he says, "What's this?" "It's something to give me for learning my lessons good." He tore it up and says, "I'll give you something better. I'll give you cowhide." He sat there a-mumbling and a-growling a minute, and then he says, "Ain't you such a sweet dandy, though? A bed, bedclothes, and a looking glass, and a piece of carpet on the floor, and your own father's got to sleep with the hogs in the tan yard. I never seen such a son. I bet I'll take some of these frills out of you before I'm done with you. Why, there ain't no end to your airs. They say you're rich. How about that? They say you rich. Hey, how about that? They lie, that's how. Looky here, mind how you talk to me. I'm a-standing about all I can stand right now. So don't give me no sass. I ain't been in town about 2 days, and I ain't heard nothing but about you being rich. I heard about it way down the river, too. That's why I come. You get that money tomorrow. I want it." "I ain't got no money." It's a lie. Judge Thatcher's got it. You get it. I want it. I ain't got no money, I tell you. You ask Judge Thatcher. He'll tell you the same. All right. Now ask him. And I'll make him pungle too. Or I'll know the reason why. Say, how much you got in your pocket? I want it. I ain't got but $1, and I want to. I don't care what you want for. You just shell it out. He took it and bit it to see if it was good. And then he said he was going downtown to get some whiskey. Said he ain't had a drink all day. When he had got out on the shed, he put his head back in and cussed me, putting on frills, trying to be better than him. When I reckoned he was gone, he come back in and put his head in again. Told me no mind about that school, because he was going to lay for me and lick me if I didn't drop that. Next day he was drunk, and he went to Judge Thatcher's and bully-ragged him, and tried to make him give up the money, but he couldn't. Then he swore he'd make the law force him. The judge and the widow went to the law to get the court to take me away from him and let one of them be my guardian. But it was a new judge that had just come, and he didn't know the old man. So he said courts mustn't interfere and separate families if they could help it. Said he'd rather not take a child away from his father. So Judge Thatcher and the widow had to quit on the business. That pleased the old man till he couldn't rest. Said he'd cowhide me till I was black and blue if I didn't raise some money for him. I borrowed $3 from Judge Thatcher, and Pap took it and got drunk. Went a-blowing around and cussing and whooping and carrying on. And he kept it up all over town with a tin pan till most midnight. And they jailed him. The next day they had him before the court and jailed him again for a week. But he said he was satisfied. Said he was boss of his son, and he'd make it more for him. When he got out, the new judge said he was going to make a new man of him. So he took him to his own house and dressed him up clean and nice, and had him to breakfast and dinner and supper with the family, and was just old pie to him, so to speak. And after supper, he talked to him about temperance and such things till the old man cried, and said he'd been a fool, and fooled away his life, but now he was going to turn over a new leaf and be a man nobody wouldn't be ashamed of. And he hoped that the judge would help him and not look down on him. And the judge said he could hug him for them words, so he cried. And his wife, she cried again, and Pap said he'd been a man that's always been misunderstood before. The judge said he believed it. And the judge said that what a man wanted that was down was sympathy. And the judge said it was so. And so they cried again. And it was bedtime. The man rose up and held out his hand and says, "Look at it. Gentlemen and ladies all, take a hold of it. Shake it. There's a hand that was the hand of a hog. But ain't so no more. It's the hand of a man that started in on a new life. And he'll die before he'll go back. You mark them words. Don't forget I said 'em. It's a clean hand now. Shake it. Don't be afeard." So they shook it, one after another, all around, and cried. And the judge's wife, she kissed it. And then the old man signed a pledge, made his mark. The judge said it was the holiest time on record, or something like that. Then they tucked the old man into a beautiful room, which was a spare room. And in the night, sometime he got powerful thirsty and clumb out onto the porch roof and slid down a stanchion and traded his new coat for a jug of 40 rod and clumb back and had a good old time. Toward daylight, he crawled out again, drunk as a fiddler, and rolled off the porch and broke his left arm in 2 places, and then was most froze to death when somebody found him after sunup. When they come to look at that spare room, they had to take soundings before they could navigate it. The judge, he felt kind of sore. He said he reckoned about he could reform the old man, with a shotgun maybe, but he didn't know no other way.